Hi, welcome to West London English School. My name's Harmi. I'm the OET course director here. Apologies for the delay. Hopefully you're still with us. A few technical issues. Okay, so like I said, my name is Harmi and I'm the OET course director here at West London English School. And I hope you're keeping well wherever you are in the world. And if you're preparing for your exam, for your OET exam soon, hopefully this lesson will help you. We're going to focus on writing today, and we're going to look at organizing your letter. So I'm just going to share my screen with you as usual. Okay, so organization, it's a big part actually of the writing. And if I show you, just a quick reminder, check out our YouTube channel as well, West London English School, or WLES. Check us out on YouTube for other videos. Okay, but back to the writing, and we're going to be talking about organization today. And as well as having good writing, good grammar, writing in the correct style, and selecting the right information, your letter also needs to be well organized. You need good paragraphing, and your paragraph actually needs to be well organized as well. This is the exam criteria. I'm sure a lot of you will have seen this before. And at the top, you can see there are 5 main criteria: content, conciseness and clarity, genre and style, organization and layout, and language. Okay, and this is really what we're going to focus on today, is organization and layout. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to zoom in onto band 7, the top band, just so you can have a look and see what it says here. Okay, it says organization and paragraphing are appropriate, logical, and clear. Key information is highlighted and subsections are well organized. Document is well laid out. So just at the beginning, what we're going to do is we're just going to focus on the first part, and we're going to look at organization. Now, there are different ways you can organize your letter, and I'm not talking about the layout, at the top where you write the recipient's name and address, or when you sign off with yours sincerely, but I'm looking at the main body of the letter, the paragraphs. And here, there's a couple of ways you can organize your letter. In fact, there's probably more, but we're going to focus on 2 main structures. The first of which, we say order of importance. So what this really means, this is really where you write immediately the main medical issue. You write about the main complaint. This is common really if the case is urgent. You don't really go through visit by visit, but you just start off with the most important information and you put it in your opening paragraph. Just a rough idea, and this is rough as well, because you have to remember every letter is different. Some letters you might need just 2 or 3 paragraphs, some you might need 3 or 4. It depends, every letter is different. So what I'm telling you here is quite general. Here's just an example. You might start off with your opening paragraph where you state the purpose. You then write about the main complaint or the main medical issue. And the next paragraph, you would write about more semi-relevant stuff, less important information, if you like. And finally, you'll deal with discharge or management plan, or you're writing about future appointments or about needs of the patient. We're going to have a look at an example in a moment. There's another structure here which you could use to organize your letter, and you can go chronologically as well if you like. This time you're actually going visit by visit. So you might start off again, the first paragraph is the same because you've got your purpose. You must state your purpose clearly in the opening paragraph. And then you might start going through visit by visit. And it really depends on the letter, on the case notes, whether you're going to combine visits together or you might have 1 visit for each paragraph. It really depends. Here you can see in the second paragraph, I've actually combined the first, second and third visit. So you start back You go back and you come forward in time. And then your last visit will be the most recent visit. And again, the fourth paragraph, you'll notice, is quite similar. You're dealing with elements of the discharge plan or the management plan. So we're going to have a quick look at these two structures. We'll see the differences. First of all, order of importance. So this is a rough plan, and it's just a simplified plan, just so you get an idea of what this really is. So first of all, with the first paragraph, the opening paragraph, you might start with something like this. Mr. Gerard underwent a right total knee replacement and is to be discharged today. He is recovering well and requires home visits for a week. Okay, so it's a typical introductory paragraph really to your letter. You can see it's a discharge letter, and we've included 3 bits of information here. We've included the main complaint or the main issue. We've also talked about the type of letter. So we've told the recipient whether it's a referral or a discharge or a transfer. And finally, we've got the purpose as well. In this task, it's about home visits. The recipient of this letter will be conducting home visits. So you can see it's fairly short, and it's quite important you can, if you include those 3 things. Like I said, every letter is different. Something you must do is you must include the purpose in your introductory paragraph. Get straight to the point, be direct as well. Okay, so that's an example of the introductory paragraph. So if we move on to the main body and look at the second paragraph, we've got your reason for writing this time. And well, we've got the main medical issues really. So Mr. Gerard is currently able to ambulate short distances with a walking aid. Those stairs are still difficult for him. He can shower with minimal assistance, but requires help with personal care. His clips have been removed. However, his wound needs to be cleaned daily. Okay, you can see here, we've just talked about the main issue, and really we've talked about some of his needs as well. We haven't talked about previous visits. We haven't talked about his condition before surgery. We've really just got straight to the point, and we've told the recipient, we've already told the recipient he's had a knee replacement, and now we're just getting to the point and telling the recipient what needs to be done. We haven't wasted time going back into the history of the patient. The recipient really only wants to know what they need to do. So let's have a look at paragraph 3. Now we're moving to kind of lesser important information, semi-relevant information. Please note, Mr. Gerard has also has a pacemaker inserted. For his heart condition, he takes warfarin 4 milligrams, Noctay. For his osteoarthritis, he takes Tylenol 1,000 milligrams once daily. He has also been commenced on Ferritab 150 milligrams PRM. Please monitor his medication compliance. Okay, so we've kind of got related issues as well, not directly related to the need, to the main medical issue, but kind of less important information. And then you might have something like this in your final paragraph where you're dealing with really the discharge plan here, or the management plan, if you like. I'm going to talk about future appointments. Please note that Mr. Gerard's son lives locally and will visit on a daily basis. He will accompany him on his appointments to the rehabilitation department, the 18th of May, 11:30 a.m., and with the local GP on the 5th of May, 2 p.m. Okay, so really that is order of importance. You can see we haven't gone visit by visit. We really just started with the main issue. And then the next paragraph was some semi-relevant stuff. So it's a little bit different from the chronological structure, and that's what we're quickly going to look at. So chronology, just as an example, the first paragraph you note is the same. It's reasons for writing, and again, the main medical issue. So it's really the purpose of your letter. And then the main body, well, here I've got first, second, third visits. And of course, you're going backwards in time. So you might want to combine those visits. For example, you might want to put visits together. It all depends on the case notes. It's something you can only really decide on the day of the exam. When you're sitting in the exam and you turn over your paper and you're looking at the case notes, only then will you really know how you're going to organize the main body of your letter. So basically, though, chronology, we go backwards to the first visit and then we move forward and we finish with the most recent visit. So let's just have a look at an example. So here's the opening paragraph. I'm writing to refer Mr. Jones, a forklift driver who recently damaged his back. He requires support on returning to work. So once again, actually, this is a type of letter, not the main medical issue. Yeah, sorry. The type of letter, I've said it's a referral. The main medical issue is damage his back, and also the purpose as well. And that's really important. Include those things. So we've got the type of letter, the main medical issue, and the purpose. It's pretty much the same as order of importance, as the first structure we looked at. But now we're going to go visit by visit. So here, the main body is a little bit different. Mr. Jones first presented in March, 4 days after hurting his back whilst lifting a heavy box off the floor at work. He experienced severe lower back pain, though an X-ray showed there were no problems with his disc. He was commenced on naproxen and carisoprodol, given 30 days off work and referred to a physiotherapist. So you can see I've gone back to the first visit back in March. And now here we're going to combine the second, third, and also the fourth visit as well. Thereafter, Mr. Jones was reviewed monthly over the next 3 months, during which time his back has gradually improved, though he has been unable to return to work. His naproxen dosage has been increased, and he has continued to see a physiotherapist. Okay, so I've finished with the most recent visit. There you can see I've gone back, and the most recent visit is the last visit I mentioned. So we've gone chronologically. The last part, same as order of importance. You're just dealing really with the discharge or the management plan. You might talk about future appointments. Let's have a look at an example. Mr. Jones has shown signs of falling into a depression should he not return to work. Should he not return to work soon? I believe this is possible as long as he refrains from heavy lifting and takes frequent breaks. I would therefore be grateful if you could assess Mr. Jones's workplace and advise him on duties he could perform at work. Okay, it should be Mr. Jones has shown, sorry, typo there. But you can kind of see we're just talking about other related stuff. And really, the most important information you have already mentioned. Okay, so if you just compare the two structures here, order of importance, just to recap, you're dealing with the main medical issue, and that's what you mention immediately. In the second or third paragraph, you might talk about semi-relevant information or secondary information, which isn't as important. With chronological structure, you're just going visit by visit and going backwards, and you finish with the most recent visit. You'll notice in both structures, the opening and the fourth paragraphs are the same, the opening and the closing paragraphs. And you'll notice the difference is with the main body of the letter. That's really where the main differences are. So let's have a look here. Here are some case notes. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in because we're going to try to identify the purpose. I'm going to look at the discharge plan. I'm just going to zoom in here. This says refer to psychiatrist for urgent assessment and treatment for depression or bipolar disorder and suicidal thoughts. Contact husband to discuss childcare, household maintenance, etc. And the question, which structure is better, order of importance or chronological? It's interesting to think, isn't it? What would you rather do? Which one is better for this letter? I mean, regardless of what structure you use, you know, you can still pass. It's not like you have to use order of importance to get a grade B, or you would have to use chronological. Even if you use either one, you can still get a grade B. But some letters are more suited to certain structures. I think here, because this is really urgent and you need to get that urgency across in your letter, this one would be better if it was order of importance. If you have a look at the case notes, all of the key case notes really came in the last visit. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to let the recipient know they're really important bits of information, and they came from the last visit. So it wouldn't really make sense if I went chronological and I started going backwards to the most recent visit. So I might write about this visit first, and then I may combine the previous 2 visits together. This is kind of the less important information. So in this task, order of importance, I think, would have been better because it really was an urgent letter. The urgent information came in the most recent visit. Okay, let's have a look at this task here. And again, I'm just going to zoom in on the writing task here. It says, using the information given in the case notes, write a letter to Mrs. Cullen, a university practice nurse. In your letter, briefly outline Jake Peterson's history and your concerns. Okay, so with this letter, it's a little bit different. We don't really know the main complaint. Once you look at the case notes, you'll understand what the main medical issue is. But here you need to talk about the patient's history. It wasn't extremely urgent, this case as well. Of course, it had a degree of urgency. It was still important, but it wasn't as important as the previous letter, or it wasn't as urgent, I should say. Okay, so again, which structure is better? Would you use order of importance or chronological? In this task here, you can see here there's lots of dates, and actually with this task, chronology was better. Now, you might have combined the visits together. There's too many visits there to write for one paragraph for each visit. You would have to combine these together. Okay, so that's a couple of structures. Hopefully that can help you and really get you thinking about how you're going to organize your letter. We're also going to look at paragraphing just quickly, and we're going to do a quick task with paragraphing, because as well as a letter, your whole letter, which needs to be well organized, your paragraphs also need to be organized. Okay, what's wrong with this task, with this paragraph? Mr. Wilson has been suffering from headaches. He has broken a leg, which requires an X-ray. On February the 18th, he presented with fatigue. His headaches are frequent and severe. He works at a secondary school as an office clerk. He also has a mild chest infection. If you think about it, this letter is kind of a little bit messed up, really. This paragraph doesn't really make, grammatically it's fine, the grammar is good, the writing, the spelling, the punctuation, all of that stuff is fine. It's written in the right style, but the organization isn't very good within this paragraph. The student starts off talking about the patient's symptoms with headaches, and then you've got a separate issue about a broken leg, another thing with fatigue, going back to the headaches, and then his work, and then more symptoms. So yeah, you can kind of see that this is really, really mixed up, this paragraph. So we're going to do a quick task, and hopefully you've got a pen and some paper with you. You're going to have some case notes. I'm going to show you some case notes, and you've got a minute to put the case notes together and write a logical paragraph. Just think how you're going to order the information. You might want to make 2 or 3 sentences, or you might just want to do 2. It doesn't really matter. There's lots of different ways to write it, as long as it's well organized. So here are your case notes. The patient is John Smith. This is a referral letter. And you can see the case notes here. Okay, So you've got a minute to write your paragraph. Okay, so how did you get on? Hopefully you were able to write a couple of sentences. I know you're thinking about things like grammar and vocabulary as well. And that's something we can talk about in other lessons. But here we really want to focus on the organization. Let's have a look. And the thing is, as I'm sure a lot of you know, you're always moving case notes about. You never write about case notes really just following them down in order. You're looking at combining case notes, you're moving them around, you're putting information together to make things logical. So let's have a look here at a sample answer. In June 2018, Mr. Smith was hospitalized following retrosternal pain, nausea and dizziness. An ECG confirmed atrial fibrillation, and he was subsequently commenced on warfarin and sotalol. Okay, so like I said, we're not really going to be looking at the grammar here or vocabulary, because we've had to add verbs to the case notes. In your letter, you have case notes. You've got to think about tenses, the verbs, are they past, present? You might be thinking about synonyms, about how you can, write things in a short way, how you're going to summarize these case notes. But let's focus on the organization. If you look closely here, we've got symptoms. Started talking about the symptoms first. We then talked about tests. We then talked about the diagnosis. And finally, we talked about the treatment as well. So you can actually see there was a kind of order to this paragraph. Symptoms, tests, diagnosis, and treatment. It's logical. The paragraph makes logical sense. So it wouldn't make sense if you started off talking about warfarin and the treatment, and then later on next to the diagnosis. So here you have a logic, and that's what they want in OET. Make sure your paragraphs are organized in a logical kind of way. Okay, so that's one example here. Something else you can do is use topic sentences. I know lots of you who've done IELTS as well, you'll be familiar with this. Topic sentences. This is the first sentence in the paragraph, and it shows the reader what the paragraph is about. It basically introduces the topic. You then add more information. You'll write another 2 or 3, maybe 4 sentences about the same topic. I'm just going to look at a quick example here. On the 19th of April, Mrs. Jones presented with her daughter, both of whom were concerned about Mrs. Jones's memory loss. Examples of memory loss had been noted, such as forgetting appointments and engagements. Changes in the patient's behavior had also been noted, such as her decision making. Okay, so you can see here we started off with a topic sentence, talking about really the patient's memory loss. That's telling the reader, this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the patient's memory loss. This is really the topic. We then gave an example with the next sentence. The patient was forgetting appointments and engagements. And then with the next sentence, there was another example with her decision making. And that was it. That was kind of one paragraph. You'll notice the sentences weren't too overly long. And in your letter, you do need a mixture of simple and complex sentences, but don't overcomplicate your sentences. It's really important the reader, the recipient, can understand the situation. So this is something else you can do, is think about using topic sentences when you're writing your paragraphs as well. Think also about grouping information together. You might include information about diet and lifestyle together because they kind of go together. You might talk about medication in one paragraph, or about medication and treatment, or medication and therapy. You know, it's kind of so group similar ideas together as well. Okay, the final thing we're going to look at is really just highlighting key information. And if I go back to the criteria, looking at organisation and layout, again, just going to zoom in onto the top band. This is what it says in band 7. This time, if you look here, it says key information is highlighted, subsections are well organised, document is well laid out. Okay, so highlighting key information. Okay, so what do they mean by this? Let's have a look at a couple of paragraphs. These are really short. So this says, what is the difference, which is better? Student A wrote, a CT scan revealed the patient had a tumour. His vital signs are stable, though his blood pressure was slightly elevated. There were no abnormalities in his chest X-ray. Student B wrote his vital signs were stable, though his blood pressure was slightly elevated. There were no abnormalities in his chest X-ray. A CT scan revealed the patient had a tumour. So the question is, what is the difference and which is better? Well, the content of both the paragraphs are the same. The grammar is actually the same. They're both well written, and they both have the same content. So both students selected the same case notes, which is great. But the organisation of the paragraph is slightly different. You can see student A, a CT scan revealed the patient had a tumour. So student A put this at the beginning of the paragraph, and student B put this at the end of the paragraph. So this is what we mean by highlighting key information. The fact that the patient has a tumour is really important. This is really significant. And you want to highlight this. You want to put it at the beginning of the paragraph. It's one of the first things you want the recipient to read. So if you've got key information, put it at the beginning of the paragraph. And you can see student A would have scored higher for highlighting key information. Their paragraph is slightly better organised than student B. So it's something to really think about. If you have information and it's not that important, don't put it at the beginning of the paragraph, and certainly don't put it at the top of the letter. You really want to put your important information at the top of your letter. At the bottom, much less important information. It's really the semi-relevant stuff. And it's the same with your paragraphs. The beginning of your paragraph, put the important information, and that's where you highlight key information. And that's what it means if I go back here to the exam criteria. Key information is highlighted. And that's exactly what student A did. They highlighted the key information by putting it at the beginning of the paragraph. Okay, so hopefully that was some use, and you were able to actually get something from this quite short lesson on writing. But organisation is important. It really can help you get a higher mark. Remember chronology and order of importance, the two differences. You know, look at sample papers as well, sample answers, and look how they've organised their letters with sample answers. Okay, think about highlighting key information, as we've also talked about. Okay, so there's quite a lot to writing. There's a lot more we can talk about. Selecting case notes, there's grammar, there's language, there's all sorts of things. In fact, if you do really need more help, if you need more support, check us out on WLES.net. Check us out, check out our online writing course. This is proving to be really popular. and helping a lot of people get through the exam. You watch a number of videos, and then you have 5 writing tests with detailed feedback. You do a task, we mark the task using the criteria, and we give you detailed feedback, and then we give you another task to do, and we go step by step, and steadily you improve and get towards that magic B grade or a C plus if you're a nurse. So check us out, WLES.net. There's the writing correction service if you don't want to watch the videos. If you just really want writing practice, we'll send you some case notes. We'll mark your letter as well. And sometimes, again, this seems to be quite popular. My notes helped a lot of you guys get through the writing exam. There's also listening courses, online speaking, there's reading, there's everything. There's a foundation course. So for some people who are slightly below the level and you need more grammar, more language, check us out. Check out the foundation course. It's a self-study online course, and that's designed to really give you more language, more grammar, to raise your language level. So you could do the OET course. And there's packages as well, platinum package, really you'll work with a tutor. It's really comprehensive. There's a lot in there. Gold package is similar as well, it's proving popular. That's more self-study. So if you do want to work with a tutor, select the platinum package. We'll actually meet you and we'll work with you throughout your preparation for the OET. This is who we are, if you don't know us already. Beth, I'm sure lots of you know Beth. She will be back with you next week, in fact. Kathleen on the right there, she was an interlocutor, in fact, here in London, the OET exam. But that's our OET team here at West London English School. Check us out, WLES.net. Like I said, check us out on YouTube as well. There's a load of videos there, which hopefully you'll find useful. And if you are in London, please do come in, come and have a chat with us, give us a call. We're running face-to-face classes currently. So if you need advice about OET, or if you're not sure about anything, please get in touch. Or if you're in London, just drop in. We're happy to have a coffee and a cup of tea with you and talk about OET. So we hope you're well. Guys, thanks for watching this lesson. Good luck with the OET exam for those of you who have the exam coming up. I hope your preparation is going well. So take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Like I said, Beth will be with you next week. Take care, guys.